All right, we're on to team 2 in our 32-team best value in fantasy football 2024 list. It's going to be the Miami Dolphins today. We looked at a lot of players in there trying to figure out who's going to be the best value on this team. There's a lot of good fantasy players in there, and I think it stood out. It's probably not the name that people are excited about, but it's Raheem Mostert. On ESPN right now, he's going for $3.50 on drafts, and I get it. He's older. He's 32 years old. He's not everyone expects A-Chain to step up and all this other stuff, right? So he's going for this low price, but I think that's so undervalued. He is the value here. And I think people are going to be like, oh, A-Chain's going to be awesome. He's going to do this, which, yeah, he's going to have some great weeks. I know he will. But I don't know if he can hold up. And when he did come back at the end of last year, he wasn't the same. Mostert just kept getting touchdowns. And I don't know if that stops. I just don't know if that stops. I don't think it does. His actual value should be way more. What were you pulling up? You pulled up, it was Fantasy Pros?
Yeah, Fantasy Pros, if you go to their dollar calculator, he is actually the 20th running back. A-Chain is 13th, but that puts him at $24.
See, to me, that's showing, I've seen another list where he's more like 12. So he's probably more in somewhere in that range, right? Somewhere in that range where that's probably his true value. But in ESPN right now, I guess, it's early. There's not a lot of drafts going on. But people are only drafting him for $3.50 because I get it. Raheem Mostert's on the board. I don't care. He's not, whatever. But there's no risk, though.
Yeah, and I do. I think he is I don't think it changes. I think he is a guy that's going to split time no matter what. I'm totally fine with that because you're all about production, touchdowns in that offense. I don't see it changing a whole lot either. And then when you look at it, I don't think he is going to go up from that position. I think $24, even though I do agree that's probably his actual value, I think that perception is going to be different. And I think in most drafts, he's going to be lower than that. And I'd be willing, like $12, I think it's a steal. Mm-hmm. A-Chain is going to go for more because you're going to see the height of his powers would be like, weeks 2 through 5.
He was amazing.
Where he just went off. And then on top of that, you have Tyreek Hill, which he's going to be a top 3 wide receiver. Totally get it. I don't know if you're going to get what you're going to get. You're going to pay for his production. That's totally fine.
He's just add value. He's not, Yep.
So you have that, and then you also have Waddle, which
Waddle is interesting if you believe in more of a breakout. He's going on ESPN drafts currently. He's going for $14.7. He's down at their 23rd ranked wide receiver. So there are definitely some interesting value there. I'm not going to consider him the better value. He's interesting because the talent is there and the potential's there. He's interesting in that regard. If he could step up this year. Yeah, and
I absolutely adore the talent there. But with all of the mouths to feed and with Tyreek being as good as he has the last few years, I don't think that Waddle is going to go, I don't think there's much. You could always get a spike in touchdowns, but even though I like him right now, I haven't seen anything where I'm willing to take that because I'd rather drop down and actually get a Drake London or something who I think can actually break out in the offense. So I think that he's capped by all the other talent Waddle is on that team. But because of that, I think it does help Mostert because if you have Tyreek, if you have Waddle, if you have A-Chain, if you go through all of these weapons and all of a sudden you're like, am I really going to pay a 30-some-year-old running back to be? And I think that's why he's going to be that value.
He will not go up. He's not going to be a guy who's going to go up when we get closer to this draft. His value will, if anything, go down.
Absolutely. And finally, what do you think about Tua? Because
interesting.
He has a lot of weapons.
I think Tua is a great player to put as a second quarterback on your bench for $1. I actually like doing the second quarterback thing. A lot of people don't. I used to not like it. Mm-hmm. I'm actually more of a fan of it these days because that's where you put that guy and maybe he's awesome. Tua, he was really good at the beginning of last year. So if you get him for $1, put him on, and that's probably what you could get him for right now if he's like the 17th ranked quarterback in ESPN. I like him in that. I think there is value there. That's actually a solid value.
Yeah. And really, what it came down to is I think his touchdowns were relatively low in the second half of the season. I think that could change, and with all the talent around him, I think he's as good as bet as anyone. I think he was 11th last year. Yep. A lot of guys going up, but like you said, I don't trust him as a number 1, but number 2. Yep. Get as much talent on that roster as possibly can. Yep. So
all right. There we go. There's the Miami Dolphins for 2024.